Sophie. Say hi, Sophie. She has quite an attitude. I have never introduced her on my channel before, but some of my friends have met her. Huh. She's my furry baby. Hairy baby. Hairy baby. Anyways, today's video is going to be a story. I'm going to tell you guys about the night I broke my knee. Story full of tragedy, stupidity, all on my part. I was 13 and very, very dumb. Let us begin. Okay, so before I begin and tell you guys the story of how I broke my knee, I need to give you some backstory that leads into why I broke my knee in the first place. Okay, so when I was younger than 13 that is, I was obsessed with figure skating. Now, I personally have never figure skated or ice skated or anything of that matter in my life. But I owe it all to a little Disney movie called Ice Princess that got me into that whole thing. But since I never went ice skating, the only closest thing to ice skating that I could get to was roller skating or rollerblading. Again, I had never rollerbladed before in my life, but I had some cousins who owned a pair of rollerblades. So when I would go over to their house, I would play with the rollerblades, and I became obsessed with it because I would pretend that I was figure skating. So from then on, I always wanted my own pair of rollerblades. One Christmas, I finally did get a pair of rollerblades, and I was so excited. I immediately put them on, and I went outside, and I tried rollerblading, and I was very disappointed. When I would rollerblade at my cousin's house, I actually never went outside and used the rollerblades. I would only ever rollerblade in their garage, which, you know, had smooth concrete, it had a smooth floor. So that's why I felt like I was gliding on ice when I was rollerblading. But when I finally had my own pair and took them out to try on the concrete, I was very upset because it was very bumpy. I began trying to come up with a way that I could mimic the smooth gliding sensation on the rollerblades. Obviously, I couldn't do it out on the sidewalk because it was too bumpy. But then I realized something. My house had hardwood flooring. And just like that, a little light bulb went up. And so it began that whenever I was home alone, I would rollerblade. And for the longest time, everything was fine. I never fell, I never hurt myself. I basically thought I was invincible. How I was wrong. Are you ready for the fun part of the story yet? Because here it comes. It was a dark, cloudy, stormy night. 13-year-old Haley could not sleep. It was probably about 11:30, 11:45 at night, almost midnight. Like I said, she couldn't fall asleep. So an idea popped into her mind. I'm gonna rollerblade in my room, she thought. But it was a very, very wrong thought, and she should not have had that thought because she wouldn't have had to go through so much pain years and years later, even as an adult. Her knee is still not healed. Thanks a lot, 13-year-old Haley. Because she was a foolish 13-year-old, she decided that she was going to rollerblade without her knee pads. Good idea, Haley. Oh, did I forget to mention that she locked her door? Yet again, another brilliant idea, Haley. With her rollerblades on, she glided around her room. She felt like nothing could stop her. She was having a wonderful time. But then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. She suddenly lost her balance. She felt like she was going to slip. Her bed was only 1 foot away from her. If only she could just throw herself backwards and land on her bed. But it was not so. Haley fell backwards, and up went her legs. As she fell and landed on the ground, she heard a very, very loud popping sound. She then knew that what was supposed to be a fun little experience of feeling like a beautiful, flawless figure skater, had turned horribly, horribly wrong in that instant. She cried out, "Mom! Mom! Help! I fell!" Her mom came running to her rescue. But remember what I mentioned earlier? Haley had locked the door. Also, I should probably remind you that this was happening around midnight, so Haley's poor mother was probably trying to sleep. Haley's poor mother probably was asleep, and Haley had to wake her up to that. Anyways, let's continue. Haley's mother was freaking out, banging on the door. "Let me in! Why can't I open the door?" Haley, unable to stand, had to drag herself to open the door. When she finally unlocked it, her mother bursted through the door, eyes wide. "What happened to you?" Haley replied, "I was rollerblading. I'm so sorry. I think I broke my leg." Haley's mother helped her onto the bed. She needed to elevate her leg. They didn't know if it was broken or not. Maybe an hour or so had passed, and Haley's knee was starting to swell very, very badly. It was probably the size of a baseball, maybe bigger. That's when her mother knew that they had to go to the hospital. But Haley couldn't walk, so her mom turned into She-Hulk and picked her up and carried her to the truck. That's a mother's love right there, ladies and gentlemen. Yo mamas love you! And after visiting a specialist, she was given the news. She had broken the patella of her knee, which is the cartilage in the back that holds the kneecap up. She had to have surgery to fix it. They were going to put in screws to hold the kneecap in place. They told Haley that the screws would eventually disintegrate into her body, so she wouldn't need a second surgery to remove them. That made her feel a little bit better. But one of Haley's friends at the time told her that there was a high possibility that Haley was going to die in surgery. So Haley was completely terrified. She really did think she was going to die. Finally, the day of Haley's surgery had come. The nurse, or whoever was meant to give her the IV in her wrist, in the veins, didn't know what the heck they were doing, so they kept poking her and poking her and poking her, making her, for the rest of her life, afraid of needles. To this day, Haley has never donated blood before. So her surgery came and went, and when she awoke, she had one question. "Can we get some chili cheese fries from Wiener Schnitzel, please?" She also had another question for her mom. "How soon will the screws disintegrate?" Her mom didn't answer, and Haley could see the grim look on her face. In that moment, she knew that this was not going to be the last surgery she had. Her mom then told her that her injuries were worse than they had anticipated, and because of that, they had to put the metal screws inside her knees, which meant that they were going to have to take them out in just a few months. Haley began crying. One surgery was bad enough. Now she had to go through another one? So a few months had passed and it was time to take those screws out. Haley was on crutches for about a year, and her knee never really truly healed. Sometimes if she's not careful, it pops out of place. She can't really run anymore because the kneecap will shift, dislocate, and relocate itself back in. And the moral of this story, children, is very, very simple. Don't rollerblade in your room at midnight with your door locked during a storm, okay? Just don't do it. Go to sleep. And if you have trouble sleeping, do what I do now and watch some meditation videos on YouTube, okay? They are great and I knock out within like 5 to 10 minutes. They're awesome. I hope you enjoyed this little story, and I hope that you can learn from my stupidity and don't rollerblade. They're dangerous, they're evil, they'll ruin you. Thanks for watching. Bye.